school district. The school district built a curriculum around it. In fact, our local PBS network made a 30-minute documentary, and this becomes part of the permanent curriculum for Palm Beach County school system. Hillsborough County, Lee County, and Broward County school districts are doing the same thing. And my hope is every school district in Florida will do this. Why? Not only are the kids getting a great history lesson and learning the place names and geography and topography, flora, fauna, Native American language and culture, all those things I want them to learn as a historian, but the real message here is one of conservation. It is a story that the next generation of Americans and everyone on planet Earth needs to learn. Because, folks, if we do not change the mindset of human beings on this planet, we won't have a planet left worth living in. We won't have a Florida left worth living in. And whether you came here 139 years ago like my family or yesterday, we all came to Florida for a reason, because she's special. Florida has a very unique, fragile world, a very unique ecosystem and water supply, and if we don't do a better job taking care of it, we're going to lose it. So it's incumbent upon your generation as the next stewards of Florida to do better than my generation did. And I think it's books like this that will help them understand that obligation. Okay, so I've talked for a long time, and I know they have another lecture coming in. Let me stop and try to entertain any questions that you may have. I'd be happy to try to answer any questions, not just about my family and these stories, but anything about Florida history or archaeology. And when we're done here, if you're interested in purchasing one of these books, you can do so there. The proceeds benefit the park, and they retail in Barnes & Noble or Amazon for $19.95. You can buy them at a $5 discount for $15 here. I'd be absolutely delighted to inscribe it to you, children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews. They make terrific gifts. And quite frankly, I have a lot of adult readers, so if you're an adult, don't be afraid to buy one for yourself. Okay, so do we have any questions? Yes?
How did you get the information?
Excellent question. Two ways that I accumulated all this information. Number one, when I was your age, we only had 3 channels on television, no satellite TV, and we weren't even allowed to watch those 3 channels. After dinner, we had to listen to our grandparents tell stories, and my grandmother lived with us, and she lived to be 101 years old. She was Lily's daughter, and she was born in the family house on High Fluxo Island in 1896. So I listened to my grandmother throughout my childhood when I was your age tell me these stories. That's one way I knew. The second way is Charlie. When he arrived here in 1872 as an 8-year-old, he kept a daily journal. Every day he charted the weather, hurricanes, shipwrecks, pioneer settlers, where they came from, where they took their homestead, what their kids' names were, and he kept all these journals his entire life. And at the end of his life, he took all that information and he typed it into a manuscript, single-space typed. It was over 750 pages, and it told all of these stories. And the Historical Society of Palm Beach County has that 750-page typed manuscript of these stories. So I had his first-hand experiences, and then I had the oral history that my grandmother told me. Pretty neat, huh? Yes?
Why is it called Snowy Egret?
Why is it called a snowy egret? I don't know. We didn't name it, but it has really fluffy white feathers, and I guess it looks snowy. So someone, not us, named it the snowy egret. They still exist today. They're still pretty rare. And you know, if those kids had not made the decision to stop killing, snowy egrets were rare in that day. I wonder if they would have wiped them out and made them entirely extinct. Other questions?
One unique feature about the snowy egret, they have yellow feet.
Do they?
Yeah.
I've never noticed. I've seen them in the wild, but I guess I get so enamored with their plumage that I've never looked down at their feet. Do you have, Steve, do you have snowy egrets here?
We do. And we have.
Do they nest here?
Yeah, we do. And we have some great photographers who caught them in magnificent poses. Yes, we have some great photos.
I know when they did the recent PBS documentary that they do in the schools, they filmed part of it out here, and the producers of it told me that they searched and searched to find the snowy egret rookeries, and they finally found them somewhere locally. I don't know if it was here.
I don't know that answer.
But they did find the snowy egret rookeries. Other questions? Well, I know this is kind of hard-hitting story for kids, but this is the reality, guys. And have you finished reading it in school? Yes? And you know there's 2 field trip opportunities. One is to come here, and another is to go to the History Museum in downtown West Palm Beach, and they have a really neat exhibit through June, and it's free to any resident of Palm Beach County. What they did is they borrowed from the Smithsonian, the American Museum of Natural History, National Audubon, the original hats and feathers, the original shotguns that were actually used to kill the birds. So you can go in the History Museum in downtown West Palm Beach and see the fashion that they were fighting over, the birds and the shotguns that were used to kill them. It's a really neat exhibit.
Harvey, the only thing you didn't mention that might be of interest is the huge amount of material in the back of the Last Egret. You've got biographies and photographs of everyone you're talking about.
Yeah, it's a good point. The back, I go on to tell what happened to Charlie Pierce later in life. You know what happened to Guy Bradley, I just told you. Charlie grew up to be one of the Barefoot Mailmen, if you've ever heard of the Barefoot Mailman. And he was the great biographer of South Florida because all those journals made him the great historian of Florida. We have a school in Palm Beach County named after him called Pierce Hammock Elementary School. And if you ever visit our Capitol in Tallahassee, when you walk in the Capitol, in the rotunda, etched in marble, are the names of 54 people in Florida's history. They're called Great Floridians. The legislature has to name you a Great Floridian. Henry Flagler, Juan Ponce de Leon, Hernando de Soto. One of them is Charlie Pierce from right here, Boynton Beach. And Charlie died in Boynton Beach in 1939. He died as the postmaster of Boynton Beach. So he's a barefoot mailman, and then when the barefoot mail route was rendered obsolete, he became a postmaster. And if you know, in downtown Boynton Beach, next to the Civic Center, there's a little playground for kids with swing sets. That's where his house stood. When he died, it was torn down and became a public park. So that's what happened to Charlie. I told you what happened to Lily. She grew up, married my great-grandfather. He brought Major Boynton, Boynton Beach, created Boynton Beach. He brought Mr. Linton and Mr. Swinton to Delray and created Delray Beach. And Tiger lived to be well into his 80s, led a long life. We never actually knew how old Tiger was, by the way, because Seminole Indians did not keep track of their age in years like we do. They kept track of their age in moon cycles, so we never knew how old Tiger was. But him and Charlie were best friends until the end of their lives, and we think Tiger was in his 80s when he died. Any more questions? Okay, guys, I hope you really enjoyed that. Thank you.
Thank you, Harvey.
Thank you.
We'll go over to the table if anyone wants to talk to Harvey or buy a book.
He has books.